Today we're going to do a little thing on changing spark plugs and a coil on a 2001 Nissan Pathfinder. We got a misfire code here, and I took this cover off already. It's just a few bolts on the top, 10mm, and we had a flashing check engine light come in, and I started up, checked for codes. You can see there we've got a couple codes there, cylinder 5 it says, so we don't know if it's a plug or the coil. So we start it up, run a little bit, and we've got our tester here, a little inductance tester there. True spark. Can't remember where I got this from. I've had it for a while. It works pretty good. I can show you a good coil. Press the button and it flashes. Put it on our bad coil back here, which is pretty hard to see. This is number 5. And not getting any red flashes, okay? Put it on our first one again. Red flashes. As you can see. Back in the back one, only green. Alright, so we're going to do a little bit of prep work here to get things ready, and we'll come back. Okay, so I've done a little bit of, all I did is take 4 10mm bolts out of these brackets. There's a couple brackets just holding some wiring in the way, and we should be able to get these out. I'm going to disconnect the connectors on the coils, because there's not a lot of room in there, but let's do number 5 really, number 3, and we'll take the get the connectors off. We take some 10mm bolts out of the coils. There we go. And take them out. So, careful not to drop them down in there. Again, this 2001 Pathfinder, 3.5 V6. Okay, out of the way. Trusty magnet. 3 bolts, and then our magnet tray. This is a number 1 coil. You see that this is different than all the other coils. So you have to know that if you're getting number 1 coil, it's going to be a different part number than all the other 5. Okay. Number 3. And here's our culprit, number 5. You don't have to take the intake off or anything to get to these. Make sure you note which one comes from where. This is our bad one. We're going to set this one aside. This one was working when it was cold, but as soon as the engine got warm, it would fire it off. So that one's going to be set aside. Now, your spark plug out. Stay in the hand. You can feel if there's anything going wrong and remove it. Alright, and we'll come back in a few minutes. Okay, we got our spark plugs out here on this side. You can see they don't look too bad, but we're changing and doing mileage on this vehicle, so we're going to be doing a coil anyways. Just makes sense. Alright, I put a little bit of grease on the threads. People have different opinions on this, but I've never had a problem, and I've seen problems if you don't. So I put a little bit on there. Always hand thread them in so you know you're not cross-threading them in. I used to get them started that way, but it's a lot faster than using a ratchet. Get them until you can't turn with your hand anymore. Move on to the next one. I've already set the gap on the spark plugs. Always check. Sometimes the biggest problem I see is if they're dropped on the floor at some time, there'll be no gap. The electrode will be pressed right up against the tip, so you don't want that. That causes issues that you don't want to deal with. I'm from Buffalo, New York today. It's December 7th, and it's 40 degrees outside. Thank you, El Nino. So we're getting number 5 threaded in here. And we'll go back through and snug them all up. All these spark plugs come with little washers. Make sure you put them on there. They compress when you tighten them down. Help seal chamber. No leaks there. Need a little extra extension on this one. Get extra reach. Technically, our torque settings for these, let's go until it's snug, quite a bit snug, not just a little snug. But you should check the torque settings and use a torque wrench properly set them, especially if you're inexperienced and don't have a good feel for it. Alright, so this side spark plugs are in. Pop our coils back in, make sure they're in the same spot. We know this is one because it has a different shape and style than all the rest. Make sure nothing gets stuck in between them when you're installing them. Here's number 3. And then number 5 is getting a new one. As we saw earlier, it's not functioning properly. We have a new one here, Ultra 8. This will be okay. When I install it, I'm going to get the connector. Let's see here. This one says 5 on it. They're labeled for you. Make sure the connector fits before you install. It can save a headache down the road. Oh, that fits perfectly. Big fan of not doing things twice. Alright. That's in there. Put all my bolts in. There's a magnet. And sometimes you can even get them started that way. You don't lose it. That one didn't start, but I just slid the magnet off the side there, and it stayed in. This is my first repair video, so hopefully it comes out okay. Don't be too harsh on me. And then stick. There we go. And I'm going to start the threads by hand. I don't follow my own advice all the time. Alright, I'll tighten all those down and we'll come back. Well, before we go any further, I'm going to just fire it up real quick just to make sure this side's okay. And make sure that coil is firing like it's supposed to. Seems like it's working the right way, so I'm just going to bolt these brackets back on here. And we can move on to the other side. Try not to set off the compressor here. Nobody can hear it. But I just got, these are all 10mm bolts. So, you gotta be careful. You thread it into aluminum, so anytime you got a small bolt and aluminum, you got a chance of breaking your stripping threads. So, starting by hand is always a good idea. Front. It's a little harder to get to. On the other side now. If you guys can see this entire side, but the air box is going to be in my way, so it needs to come out. It's kind of a tricky one, but a lot of hoses and plugs. Take off my vacuum hoses, mass airflow sensor connector, and another vacuum hose here. One comes off. It's even connected there, which is nice. I'll pull that off in a second. That's out of the way. Power cable off. And this disconnect it from the throttle body. Just a flathead screw. This takes some time, but it'll pay off in the long run. Another hose back here. Spring clamp on it. the back side. That just comes off there. Bolts here. And down here. It's a magnet. This is one big unit. We'll have to come over there. Sometimes we change our plan. And then we'll work our way out of here. So rather than taking the whole air box off, I'm going to leave the box in. It helped to have these nuts undone. I'm just going to take the tube off instead, since that's really all that's in my way. So sometimes you get halfway into something and you change your plans to save time. So now I'm going to put these connectors here. Number 4 and number 6. Okay, all the connectors are out. Now number 4 here, which is the middle one, is going to be blocked by your idle air control valve, motor, whatever you want to call it. So I'm going to pop that connector off. I'm going to move that out of there too. We're sitting right on the top of number 2. So I'm going to take care of that and I'll come right back. Okay, we're back. And wasn't really cooperating with me, idle air control, so I had to take off the throttle body, which you can see right here. I just removed these 2 connectors off the throttle position sensor. And these 4 Allen bolts, they're 6mm Allens. Take those out of the way. I didn't take the coolant lines off, so I don't have any coolant leaks in the future. But I'm pretty sure that I'm going to have enough room to wiggle stuff around. I got the bolts out of the coils. So this is number 2. Lay them in order so I can put them back where they came from. Just easier that way. This is 6, the back one. And this is the one that was covered by the throttle body. And I could just wiggle that out of there. Not a lot of room, but they are flexible boots on there. Pretty flexible anyway, so they come out. Anyways. You can kind of see what I did there. Alright, now I'm going to take these spark plugs out, and I'll be back. Just going to do a little finale here. Make sure everything's all covered. Basically, all I did here was button up this air hose. Make sure you have that vacuum line in the back goes back on. That's what I was talking about before. You got a hose up here, this little one, and there's your throttle body bolts that you got there, and down in there I can get the light just right here. There's your intake, or air intake, idle air control right in the middle. And come over on this side so you can see the coils. Right there in the middle, that white square. Down in here, you can see that. That's your coil. That's number 2, the front one. Underneath there, you can barely see it, but that's the number 4. And number 6 is hard to see. Easier to get to than see, but it's down in there somewhere. Right there. There it is. Okay, so that's number 6. So, if you guys have any questions, leave it in the comments below. Like this video if it helped you with anything. And this is the other side in case you want to see what that looks like. There's number 1 coil that's different than all the rest. And then there's the harnesses that I moved. And which is why it's hard to see the coils, because I had to move the harnesses. But there's the brand new coil right there, the black top one. So, if you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. Hope you enjoyed the video. Hope it helps you with your job. Have a good day.